I'm sorry, we can't meet unless we have five. I'm gonna, my problem. Mr. Marcus, in District Two. Ms. Victoria, in District Three, President. Ms. Victoria, in District Four.
We don't know what.
District Five, Dr. Buchanan. District Six is Mary Jackson. District Seven, Brenda
So
Hill.
muffled.
District Eight is Joy. District Nine is Vietnamese Director. Superintendent, Dr. Clayton, President. Attorney, Board of State, Kim Black. Administrative, Superintendent, Board. And Don Valley, Assistant Administrative Assistant, Deputy Chief. Before we get started, I want to keep this young man in prayer. We have a student, his name is Vietnamese. Yes, he is a student at Jonesboro High School. In this month, he's involved in a very tragic accident where his mother was actually, he was leaving to go home, and his mother was involved in an accident on Boardroom. His mother in the accident, he got out of the car to go help her. He was doing her things, getting down Boardroom and ran into a vehicle, which then ran into him struggling down the street with his hand, and ended up being severely injured. He had to have his leg amputated. And he had to have multiple surgeries. So I want you to keep it in prayer. Some of you already have seen the story on YouTube. There is a GoFundMe account for children, so if someone has a positive attitude right now, but at some point, this is really going to depend on his mental state. So we need to keep him in prayer. We also lost two students last week, so I'm going to ask that we take a moment of silence for another student at True High School,
which is Elijah Bronson, and also an Eddie White lost a student by the name of, I think it's Isaac Caperton. So in the board, I consider us to be a family, we lost a family member, and that was former board member Miss Ophelia Burl. So we could at this moment take a moment of silence for those individuals. Thank you. Now, before we move on, we are going to give a tribute to Miss Ophelia Burrows because there are 9 of us that sit here, and regardless, as I mentioned at her funeral on Saturday, we say that we're family by blood, but blood does not dictate family. When you spend a lot of time around an individual, whether you are in agreement with each other all the time or whatever, you grow to know and love that person. So to me, Miss Burroughs is family. I served, Mary Baker and I served 12 years on this board with with Miss Burroughs, and I know now that we have some political activity going on in the United States, and we talk about a divine nine. But I'm going to say to you that the divine nine of us that decided that we were going to run for this board when we had a very sad moment in Clayton County when we lost our accreditation. And I'm going to call the names of those people, that divine nine, and we're going to honor Miss Burroughs. In District 1, that was Miss Dr. Pam Adamson. District 2, it was Wanda Smith. In District 3, it was Jesse Marie. District 4 was Michael King. We lost him as well. And District 5 was Miss Ophelia Burrows. Mary Baker was District 6. District 7. Oh, you're going to have to help me out, Mary. That wasn't Judy. It was Trinia. Trinia Garrett. Thank you, Trinia Garrett. District 8 was Alika Anderson, Dr. Alika Anderson, and District 9 was Charlton Gibbons. So at this time, we want to play our tribute. Go ahead. I tried to find pictures of all of us with Miss Pearl. Y'all are with her, but I think different places.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? How do I say goodbye to what we had? good time and made us laugh. Away the bad. I thought we get to see forever, but forever's gone away. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. I don't know where this road is gonna lead, but I know where we've been and what we've been through. And if we get to see tomorrow, I hope it's all worth the wait. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I'll take with me the memories, like my sunshine of the rain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I'll take with me the memories to be my sunshine after rain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
That's been one of my favorite songs for years. Brought back great memories.
Our board recognitions, okay?
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Dr. Smith, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's recognitions are some very special situations in which some outstanding individuals within our district have been rewarded for excellence. For the first recognition, I would ask Dr. Douglas Hendricks, Dr. Keith Colbert, Dr. Timothy Guiney, Mr. Derek Manning, Mr. Gary Townsend, if he is in the audience tonight, and Ms. Angela Benjamin, please come forward and join the board at this time. Honored has a lot of different meanings. Honored means to salute to someone for doing a great thing. Honored is also the name of a national nonprofit organization dedicated to honoring and elevating great teachers, to be celebrating the extraordinary impact that teachers have on the lives of their students. Three students from Drew High School, two of whom are former students, but one who is with us tonight. And I'm going to ask Danielle Burley, please come forward, if she would. These, these students wrote the nomination for a teacher because this teacher changed their individual lives. So each month, the national organization Honored recognizes one teacher who has changed the life of their student or students during their time in school. Based on the nominations submitted by Ms. Burley and the two former students, the John Connor and Hannah Watson, Honored selected for a national recognition a teacher of 12th grade English language arts who also, among other duties, serves as yearbook advisor, SGA advisor, head basketball coach. Oh, and by the way, was a 2023 finalist for the District Teacher of the Year. I am privileged to introduce from Drew High School, Coach Candace Jones. While Ms. Jones is getting congratulations from the board on being named the honored National Teacher Award recipient for the month of September, Coach Jones will have her story of her impact on her students' lives published on the organization's website and featured in its social media feeds for the entire month of September. Oh, yes, another thing. She receives an unrestricted cash award of $5,000. Now, these people have a great support teams, and some invite parents and other relatives of uh, Miss Burley up, and also for Miss Jones. If she has some relatives up here, please come and join and be part of a photograph for the scrap. We'll have, come on up. Thank you very much. Now, before you all sit down, Dr. Guiney, Mr. Manning, Dr. Colbert, uh, Dr. Hendricks, you all need to stay up. And we also would like to invite Dr. Chadrick Barbara, the principal of Traditional High School, and we would like to invite Mr. James Scarborough, but pinch hitting for him tonight is Dr. Prince Bowie. Is he here? Come on up. Oh, assistant principal. Tonight we celebrate two high school organizations who not only have shown excellence, but they've also shown a really strong connection with community because it was the community who made it all happen. The Great Atlanta Band Challenge, sponsored by 1-800 Truck and the Witherite Law Group, is an annual contest that gives Atlanta area school bands the opportunity to showcase their talents with the chance to win money to assist in funding their band programs. People who live in the community were able to vote on bands. 40 bands were entered in the competition. Clayton County Public Schools is the proud home of two of the top three winners in this fourth annual event. Get ready, guys. On Wednesday, August 21st, North Clayton High School received a check for $14,000. I invite the North Clayton High School Director of Bands, Mr. Joseph Days, and his drum majors to please come forward. The North Clayton Band garnered the third highest set of votes from the community in the competition. Also, on Wednesday, August 21st, Mundiesville High School, who garnered the highest number of votes from the community, was awarded a $21,000 check. We invite Mr. Matthew Ross, the director of bands for the school, and the drum majors and his assistant. Come on up. So let's arrange for a photo that way. Head towards the center. This concludes our recognitions for this evening.
All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get on with our agenda. I'm going to start with the ethics statement. In accordance with Board Policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter scheduled to come before the board at this meeting or appearing on our proposed agenda? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. All right, at this time, we need to adopt the agenda. I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda. Mr. Christmas.
So moved, Madam
All
Chair.
right, I need a second. Ms. Baker.
Second.
All right. Please vote. Ms. Straker. All right, it is 8 in favor. All right. At this time, the next item on the agenda is public participation. And I have the sign-up sheet. And it is empty. The next item on the agenda is executive session recommendations. I'm going to hand that over to you, Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, colleagues, and community members. I would like the board to consider for the position of Assistant Principal at Michelle Obama, Ms. Makia Henderson.
I need a motion for the superintendent's recommendation of Ms. Makia Henderson as the assistant principal at Michelle Obama STEM Elementary Academy. I need a second, Ms. Baker.
I second it.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Please vote. And the vote is 8 in favor, unanimous vote.
Thank you, board members. Ms. McKenzie, if you're present, please stand and be, Ms. Henderson, I'm sorry. Please stand and be recognized. Congratulations. Congratulations, ma'am. Thank you, board members. I would also like for the board to consider for the position of coordinator for elementary science, DeJuan Winfield.
Board members, I need a motion for the superintendent's recommendation for the coordinator of elementary science, DeJuan Winfield. Ms. Cooper.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for DeJuan Whitfield as the coordinator of elementary science.
All right, I need a second. Ms. Hill.
I second, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and properly second. Please vote.
Yeah.
All right, and the vote is 8. Oh, Ms. Bowles.
Yes, Madam Chair. My vote on this matter is in the affirmative. I want to raise that on the last matter, we weren't able to make a motion. I'm sure the vote will still be the same, but for the first recommendation from Dr. Smith, there was no motion. We only had a second and a vote. For the
Did you not
minute.
make the motion?
No,
Oh,
I was ready to. I'm
Oh,
still
I-
excited to, but Miss Battle needs it for the record.
okay, well, how about we just finish this one and we'll go back and redo it?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, we have 8 members in favor. It's a unanimous vote. This is for the coordinator's position.
All right, congratulations. Is Miss DeWan Winfield present? Please stand and be recognized. Congratulations.
I'm sorry, I must have been, did I call the wrong name or what? I thought
That's okay.
I'm
You've
sorry.
come a long way, Mrs. Winfield, from the
look,
halls of Monday Smith High School. That's my former student. Congratulations.
I didn't call her. I'm sorry. I'm still messed up from the the singing brothers. Okay, we're gonna do this over. Thank you, Miss Bowles. We need a motion for the position, so you can be official now, Miss Henderson.
Yes.
Since we didn't, I thought I had motion. We
Yes.
need a motion for the superintendent's recommendation of Miss Makia Henderson
Absolutely.
to
I
be the
move that we
assistant principal of Michelle Obama STEM Elementary Academy.
I
Miss-
move
Miss
that we
Bowles.
accept the superintendent's recommendation for Miss Makia Henderson for assistant principal at Michelle Obama STEM. Thank you.
All right, I still need you to move. I need you to move. Make the motion. Well, you gotta say I move to accept. Did you say that?
I will repeat that I move that we accept Dr. Smith's recommendation for Miss Makia Henderson to become the new AP at Michelle Obama STEM Academy.
Thank you. I didn't hear you. I need a second. Miss Baker. Okay. It's been moved and properly second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Please vote. All right, this time we have a 9-0 vote. It's a unanimous vote. We want to take a picture with you. So come up, please. All right, our next item on the agenda are announcements.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, district administrators, and citizens of Clayton County. I am Emma Arroyo Lopez, a senior at Mount Zion High School.
And I'm Ashley Rodriguez Martinez, also a senior at Mount Zion High School.
I am Chastity Wilkerson, a senior at Mount Zion High School, and we have the pleasure of sharing the Board of Announcements for September.
September is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, National Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. It is also home to Grandparents' Day on September 8th, 9/11, and U.S. Constitution Day on the 17th.
A series of curriculum nights have been established for students and their families on the following schedule. Elementary school sessions.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, district administrators, and citizens of Clayton County. I am Emma Arroyo Lopez, a senior at Mount Zion High School.
And I'm Ashley Rodriguez Martinez, also a senior at Mount Zion High School.
I am Chastity Wilkerson, a senior at Mount Zion High School, and we have the pleasure of sharing the Board of Announcements for September.
September is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, National Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. It is also home to Grandparents' Day on September 8th, 9/11, and U.S. Constitution Day on the 17th.
A series of curriculum nights have been established for students and their families on the following schedule. Elementary school sessions will take place on Thursday, September 5th, middle school sessions will take place on Thursday, September 12th, and high school sessions will take place on Thursday, September 19th. All curriculum night sessions will begin at 5 p.m. and continue to 7 p.m.
The district will observe the first Extended Learning Beyond the Classroom Day of the 2024-2025 school year on Friday, September 13th. All students in grades pre-K through 12 will remain home for asynchronous or independent learning, while all staff will report to work on that day.
Parents are invited to attend a Visual School Choice Magnet Fair on Saturday, September 14th. Elementary programs will be focused at 9 a.m., middle school programs at 10 a.m., and high school programs at 11 a.m. The Visual School Choice Magnet Fair is designed to provide important information to parents and guardians about the district school choice and magnet program. The fair will also serve as a meet and greet opportunity to engage with school and programs administrators and teachers. Those interested in attending should pre-register on the district website or Facebook page.
The district is excited to observe Hispanic Heritage Month beginning Sunday, September 15th and continuing through Tuesday, October 15th. The theme for this year's observance is Pioneers of Change, Changing the Future Together. Numerous activities have been scheduled throughout the district during this month in recognition of this event.
Clayton County Public Schools will host a groundbreaking ceremony at Lovejoy High School on Tuesday, September 17th to formally begin the new construction and modernization project at the campus. The ceremony will begin at 5:30 p.m. and will be held at the school.
The District Division of Human Resources will host a hiring fair on Wednesday, September 18 at Mount Zion High School, 2535 Mount Zion Parkway in Jonesboro. The hiring fair will begin at 5 p.m. and continue until 7 p.m.
The 7th Annual Mental Health Awareness 5K will take place on Saturday, September 21st at the Clayton County International Park beginning at 9 a.m. The walk coincides with World Suicide Prevention Day. Formerly known as the CCPS Teen Violence and Suicide Awareness 5K, this reimagined mental wellness event is designed to educate and raise awareness among young people, families, and our community about mental health and promote well-being activities. For more information, please email the District Department of Student Behavioral Health and Wellbeing at sbhw@clayton.k12.ga.us.
The September board work session is scheduled for Monday, September 30th in the boardroom of the District Administration Complex. The meeting will begin at 6 p.m.
All school and offices will be closed for fall break beginning Monday, October 7th and continuing through Friday, October 11th. Students and district employees will resume a regular schedule on Monday, October 14th.
The October board meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 14th. The location of the meeting, which will begin at 6 p.m., will be announced at a later date.
Madam Chair, that concludes tonight's announcements. Thank you.
All right, seeing none, we will accept them as presented. We also have minutes from our board meeting August 5th, 2024, checking to see if we have anything that we need to correct, add, or delete. Seeing none, we will accept them as presented. Next item on the agenda are updates to the board. And I'll turn that over to you, Dr. Smith. You want to call?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Keith Colbert, if you would come forward.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the boards, Dr. Smith, colleagues, and community at large. I bring an update to you this evening over our grading system. Equity in grading. Our grading, the process that guides our grading system is policy IHA and regulation to policy IHA, which speaks to our grading procedures. Just an overview, board policy IHA and its accompanying regulation IHA R1 outline the grading systems and procedures for Clayton County Public Schools. These guidelines ensure that grading is fair, consistent, and transparent, and a transparent process, focusing on student mastery of curriculum standards. The policy and regulation emphasizes the separation of academic grading from behavior, attendance, while mandating clear communication and consistent application of grading practices across the district. Okay, so I will pull, in order to answer the concerns that were submitted to us, I will pull points from the policy and then key points from the regulation. The purpose of grading. Grades reflect a student's understanding and mastery of curriculum standards. They serve as feedback for students, teachers, and parents, and are not influenced by behavior or attendance. Criteria for grading. Grades are based on well-defined curriculum-aligned criteria. Teachers are required to communicate these criteria to students, parents, guardians, and the principal. It also affords us a uniform evaluation procedure. The superintendent and relevant staff are responsible for creating and implementing uniform procedures for evaluating student progress across all schools in the district. Key points from the regulation. Communicating and monitoring. Principals are responsible for communicating and monitoring the implementation of the district grading procedures. Opportunities for mastery. Teachers are required to offer multiple opportunities for reteaching and reassessing to students who have not demonstrated mastery, especially before assigning a final grade of less than 70. Specific provisions are in place for students with disabilities, English language learners, ensuring they receive appropriate accommodations and multiple opportunities to demonstrate mastery. Also, accuracy of grading reporting. Teachers must accurately maintain and report students' grades and attendance with required weekly updates in the district's gradebook program. Elementary teachers must enter at least one grade per subject per week, while middle and high school teachers must enter at least 2 grades per subject per week. Fine arts and CTA teachers have specific timelines for grading entry. Grade weighting and classwork. They're also identified in the student handbook that goes home. The regulation defines specific grade weights for different levels and types of courses. Grades must reflect students' progress towards mastery of content standards and must not include non-academic related factors. Parent notification. Teachers must contact parents if a student's grade falls below 75 and discuss a remediation plan. Sufficient documentation of this communication is required, especially if a student is at risk of receiving a final grade below 70. Grade conversion and reporting. The regulation provides detailed grade conversion scales for all grades, including provisions for incomplete grades and the use of the Georgia milestones in, of course, assessment as final exams. Our next steps: continued professional development for teachers on grading practices, including the accurate implementation of the policy and regulation, ongoing communication with parents and guardians to ensure they understand the grading system and can actively support their child's academic progress, and regular review and updates to the grading policy and procedures to reflect the evolving needs of students and advancements in educational practices. At this time, that is our presentation over the grading system. I stand to take any questions.
Mr. Striker.
Dr. Colbert, you mentioned the grading entry. What two systems is the grading entry being done on?
Our student information system is the system that tracks all of our grades.
And where is it put so that a parent can see their children's grading?
A student have access through the parent portal in Infinite Campus. We encourage all parents to sign up for access to the informational system.
Right.
It's a large campaign that schools partake in the beginning of the year to get as many parents registered. So not only they can keep up with grades, they can keep up with attendance. They also can keep up if a student is late to class.
Do you have any stats in regards to how many parents actually sign up at the beginning of the year and how accurate the systems are staying throughout the year? Is there a way to track that?
I will.
Yes, Mr. Stryker, we do have access to that. I don't have those numbers on hand right now. As far as parents that have signed up to use the parent portal this school year, we monitor it. We encourage it. Participation.
Do you have a ballpark figure of, is it 50% of our parents? Is it?
I believe it's less than that.
Less than 50%.
I will get the numbers though for you, so that way I'm giving you accurate
So if I'm a
information.
parent that has not signed up to Infinite Campus, how else would I find out about my child's grades? What other alternatives do I have?
That is the most accurate way to find out, unless there's that is the way that's encouraged throughout the district.
I went to an event yesterday of Dr. Simpson's in regards to something he was doing, and he had mentioned during his presentation that one of the biggest frustrations that parents have is the communication with a teacher trying to get accurate information on their grading and their progress. And he had mentioned that it had came to the point where, not in this school district, but in another district, it had came to the point where he had to allow the parent to call him directly at his level in order to make sure that this parent got that accurate information. I think that my experience, even with my son and daughter, when they went to the school, is that it becomes extremely bureaucratic. It becomes confusing and chaotic when a parent doesn't know or can't get updates in regards to their children's grading. The only reason I bring that up is because I want the public to hear that we acknowledge the fact that this is a challenge. And I want to hear from you guys how we're going to overcome these challenges.
Ms. Cooper.
Hey, Dr. Colbert. Quick question. I know you mentioned that if a student's grade falls below a 75, that you notify the parent.
Yes.
How is this being done? Is this a procedure? Is everyone doing it across the board?
That
How
is-
are they notified? In parent portal?
That is our expectation. Number one, that's the first notification through the parent portal. We also expect that our teachers reach out and through email or through phone calls to be able to contact those parents with those students whose averages are falling below that 75. This is also tracked inside of Infinite Campus. Schools and principals can can view contact logs, and the contact logs are listed in one of the options inside of Infinite Campus, to where if I contact a parent, I'm required to put notes inside of Infinite Campus, the time, the number that I use, or the mode of contact that I use, as well as the purpose for my phone call.
So this is just the expectation
Yes.
of what you're expecting of the
Yes.
teachers. So is this being communicated to them so they know this is what we are expecting, and it's not just words on
Yes.
paper?
Yes, as you, one of the next step for us, this is always
Mhm.
ongoing communication. We know that communication is the key, because we stress to our teachers that we want to be able to involve and engage our parents, and we engage them through these communications attempts.
Miss Baker.
This might go back to Mr. Sykes too, but in my council meetings, I have parents and I have employees in there, and they were talking about having Infinite Campus and Canvas, and those grades not matching, and teachers having to put them in two locations. And I don't need our teachers doing any more work than they have to. That's just time consuming. So I don't know how we need to streamline that, or our tutorial, so a teacher knows I can do one-stop shop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, there is a synchronization tool or synchronization component between Canvas and Infinite Campus. And it is set up currently, so we will, and we've provided training, we'll get back out and train even some more, so that way our teachers are aware of it. It's an extremely useful tool, like you said, so that way teachers only have to input that information one time, and it works in both areas as well.
And I appreciate that, because not having children in the system anymore, I don't see it. I don't know what it looks like. So I have to take the response that I get from my council. So that's why I'm sharing with you.
Thank you.
Miss Hill.
Thank you, Dr. Colbert, for that presentation. And you covered most of my questions. The only one that I would ask and follow up with is the parents have brought to my attention that the grades are not in there timely. So if there is a way to gather or tell when the grades are due to be in, and if they're actually being put in a timely manner.
Okay. We will follow that and share that widely with all schools and all leaders.
Dr. Haney.
Dr. Culver, thank you for that. In light of Ms. Tillis Cooper about the frequency of how the information is relayed, I know that at the back to school bash over at Monday's Mill, there was a class, or so to speak, a workshop that did inform parents of Infinite Campus and where to place those grades and everything. But I want to know, when you say it's going to be ongoing, what does that look like, ongoing?
Ongoing first is start with the constant communication via email from assistant superintendents to principals. And each time that we have an opportunity to share in conversation or planning with our principal, we will stress the importance of sharing the grade expectation widely with all of their teachers. The principals begin the year off with professional development and their pre-planning meetings with their teachers and sharing the expectation. So grading and communication, that's something that we have to continuously go back and revisit and share that expectation.
Ms. Bowles.
Thank you so much for this. I understand and support this grading initiative. Love it. Think it's great. I have one question, one comment. My question is, I love that we're starting to share lesson plans among teams. That's brilliant. My question is, does that include assessment?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. That gives us, we often talk about the use of the term common assessments.
Yep, those daily checks, something quick, right?
And that gives us an opportunity to really progress monitor. If each school is sharing a unit assessment, that gives us an opportunity to be able to collect data as how well our scholars are doing for example, Unit 1 assessment.
I'm with you. Yep. That's great. So the lesson plans and the assessments coming together. And I think that leads me to my next comment, which was um, these are high expectations for teachers, and we should have high expectations. I was just hoping to see equally high support to help them make this grading possible. And I think you just shared a very easy, quick start, which is if we expect them to put in, at least a couple grades a week, make sure that they have access to those assessments, those quick opportunities to check. And then that last piece is, of course, to the extent that we can, preserving their planning time as sacred so that they can grade, right? That scope looks different for a high school educator than an elementary school educator who's got maybe 20 to 30 kids, and a high school bio teacher maybe having 150. And so, yes, love the lesson plans, include assessments. I think that's really going to help our educators meet these high expectations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Baker.
One more question. Back to the Infinite Campus, and you were talking about how the parents don't always sign up right away.
Right.
Do we have a tutorial on how to sign up on our website or our school website? So, the first of the year, the parents are like freaking out, trying to get back to school. And this would, one, they could go back and do it. And two, is it in multiple languages for our parents who are not fluent English speakers?
The multiple languages, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'll verify that. But yes, we have the instructions on the website. We have a video on the website. We're constantly in the community. We have some cards built out with just handing those out at any community event that we're at. We're handing those out. We were at, as Dr. Haney mentioned, we were at the back to school bash. We're out there campaigning. We want them to sign up for it. So we're constantly doing everything we can. If we see a parent at any type of event that needs even assistance, we'll shoulder to shoulder with them and help them get signed up because we want them to have this access. We see it as a vital tool for those parents.
Are we currently, go ahead.
Hi, we've also worked with technology to get access for our parent liaisons so that they can assist our families in the schools and be able to show them how to access it and demonstrate and model for them as well. So, thank you.
All right. Are we almost at a point where we would be having a mid and a report, in the old days, a report card? Are we like mid about that time for a progress report?
4.5 weeks.
Okay, so soon.
Yes.
Okay, what's the chance that we could just go back and be old school and print some report cards?
Well, that's a.
Well, under consideration, Ms. Corey. Thank you.
Oh, y'all don't want to ask it hard. Okay, and so, Doctor, because see, when you have old people like me I remember just trying to register my child. I think I had to give a shout out to Dr. Dunn for showing me how to do that online registration. I didn't get very far. I may have missed this. Checks and balances. So since there should be a required amount of grades placed in the grade book. Who actually is checking teachers' books to see whether or not those grades have been entered in Infinite Campuses on the staff?
Our school leaders have the capability of running reports through Infinite Campus to be able to determine how many grades was entered per teacher inside of the grade book when the last grade entry was identified. So we have the capability to run reports, missing grade reports, grade change reports. So we have the resources to be able to check and ensure that we are meeting that expectation.
And so when we run those reports, do we run them on paper?
Yes.
Oh, so if we can run those reports on paper, we can run those report cards home for those students.
Well,
that was just my little trick thing. I knew you were going to tell me.
To go back and have those conversations that they'll need to have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Colbert.
Is that it? I think, who's doing the yes? It's a more of a presentation.
Dr. Blocker,
So
I
Dr.
think.
Block is coming up, okay.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Gore Reed, Vice Chair, Mr. Straker, Superintendent Smith, and other board members. I'm here to give you a brief update of the YES program from last school year. Next slide. Am I doing it? All right, so our YES program was designed basically to, the Youth Empowerment Services Program is basically a virtual comprehensive program to a replacement program for students who have some challenging behavior issues in the schools. So for secondary. Basically, we just want to reduce long-term suspensions. So I think right now at this point, from last year, we were able to see about a 13% decrease in office referrals as a result, what we believe directly related to the YES program. All right, so here's the process, how it works. Of course, the principal initiates the referral to the YES program, and then we review the program and the kids will see all the different supports at the YES program. I'm doing the next slide. All right, so the benefits of the YES program, basically I've covered that already. To just reduce the number of discipline incidents, we've been able to show evidence of that in our discipline reporting. Improvement in academic performance skills. We believe that our students are able to replace their behaviors by getting back in the class. The objective is to be in class, not at home and not suspended. And so basically it's an alternative virtual environment, very similar to our ABA and in our alternative program, but this is on a voluntary basis based on if the parent and the school agree that the child needs a different placement to be able to recover from some of the bad choices over a period of time. Next slide. And so here you can see last year we had 178 students that were referred to the YES program. 80 of those students were females. Of course, 98 were males. But more importantly, I think we had the majority of them came from the middle school level. All right, next slide. Okay, go back one for me. And so I wanted to bring this to your attention that the reasons or the rationale for the children actually being referred to the YES program. So this is very new in our updates. What we can see right now, disorderly disruptive behaviors are about 66 cases. And of course, the fighting and one of the requirements or to be eligible for the YES program was like 2 fights. So if you had students that were in multiple fights or a couple of fights, they were referred to the YES program. This is in lieu of being referred or suspended for a long period of time and having to go through the tribunal process and actually being an alternative program. And so parents were pretty much happy with that. Students will go in 9 weeks, get some support services from our behavior intervention specialists, support services from our counselors, and go back to their schools. That's the purpose of that. So next slide. And just here's some of the support services. Our behavior intervention specialists, of course, I mentioned the counselors, the social workers, and just students who have access to academic instruction without being suspended at home. And so we're trying to build a culture where kids will understand that it's important to learn versus misbehaving in schools. Next slide. And this was a visit to Sheriff LeBron Allen's to the YES students went last year, actually, I think about 30 students had an opportunity to go down and visit the court system just to see, don't get me wrong, these young kids had made some bad choices. They had a great field trip. You can see Carpenter Powell and Dr. Turner had an opportunity to spend some time with those kids, and they gave some great reports based on that experience. All right. And next slide. That's it. So this time I'll take any questions.
Ms. Hill.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Blocker. I like the idea of the YES program, as it is always our goal to ensure continuous education, as well as making sure we have safe learning environments. In looking at your presentation, I noticed that the data did show that the ODR did decline by the 13%. I would like to know how many of our scholars are going back into the schools and what is the success rate once they return?
So that's going into this year. All of them went back.
Okay.
So, that's the thing. Once you complete the time, that 9-week time, that time frame that you were in the YES program, they all went back to the traditional school. So now we have to make sure that they don't come back, or we have to take a look at how they're doing academically. So that we'll be tracking that this school year. So our behavior intervention specialists are getting in front of a lot of these things this year in terms of educating the kids about what behavior skills instruction. That's our new drive this year. So we want to catch them before they start making bad choices.
And I noticed that a part of the program is that there is a plan of action when they return. Is that something that will continue, like their support system and, anything that they need in order to be successful?
Right. So they automatically become on the caseload of our support services at the schools. And so there's some of the first children that are being checked on. You understand what I'm saying? So when they build a success plan for those kids, those students the goal is to make sure they don't go back to the YES program. And so we're still writing strategies for that.
And it's virtual, so is it synchronous or asynchronous?
No, it's just like the AVA program. So they would be synchronous, just they were enrolled in class, the synchronous setup. And then on Wednesdays, they have, it depends on the kids in some cases. Some students would need to come in for one-on-one instruction, depending on a particular situation. So we try to meet kids and their parents halfway. We just want to ensure that the child is very successful academically. So, and at the same time, learn from his or her mistakes or learn from the bad choices they made. And now it's time to go back to the traditional school, and that's where we want them to stay at.
Thank you so much, and I do commend you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Hill will be able to provide some recidivism rates and information, being that we've had a full year to collect data. And as we embark on this year, we can look to see how beneficial it is for students who've matriculated through the program. And we're anticipating that the results will be very favorable.
Right. We had no referrals as of yet. I mean, we've only been in school 2 weeks, but
Ms. Cooper.
Madam Chair, Ms. Hill, she asked the questions. Mine was about the measurements too, but she asked it and Dr. Smith just gave me some information.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Straker.
Dr. Blocker, we could talk about this offline. I'm just curious though. You said that most of these infractions are being done in the middle school. Am I correct?
The 119 referrals came from the middle school level. Out of the
Right. Is there
178,
your opinion or theory on why is that the case at the middle school level?
historically, you have a lot of behavior issues at the 6th grade level. You look at a lot of behavior issues at the 9th grade level, but by the time the kids get to high school, they do mature a little bit more. And so historically, if you look at data over a period of time in terms of student behavior, so the effort is to get in, like I said, the effort is to get in front of the children and educate them about behavior skills. We want to teach them how to behave, how to respond. Last year, our district-wide comprehensive process to conflict resolution. We taught every kid in the district on what they should do when they're facing conflict. Not one child, every child is experiencing that. Did that contribute to a reduction in violence? It sure did. And so that's how we're thinking. We have forward thinking. So is it going to turn around overnight? No, sir. But we're working towards it.
Thank you. Ms. Williams.
Dr. Block, I had a question. Dr. Block, I had a question. I got a question. Don't run so fast.
Yes,
I had two questions. What is considered this disruptive behavior? And then you said if they have two fights, they get 2 10-day suspensions and then they go to the YES program, or they go to the YES program before the suspension?
Well, like I said, it's the principal makes the referral. So the principal, different principals, so not every principal gives every fighter 10-day suspension. It depends on what the situation is. Sometimes the parent, because we advertise, sometimes the parent says, look, Melvin, he's too violent. He's always getting into stuff. I would rather he work at home. Sometimes parents make that request before Melvin gets into the third fight, because Melvin might have a conflict going on in the community with Dr.
Dr. Hendrick. But I'm just saying he might have a conflict going on in the community that the parent is trying to find a way to help resolve that problem. It depends on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the disruptive behavior is what? Like right before they get into a fight, or just
Or grossly
What's an example?
disrespectful to the teachers, or cursing out teachers, disrupting the learning environment. That got to a point because progressive discipline is not working, then the kids started getting suspended from school. So, it's just progressive.
all right, one of the people here. Thank you.
All right. I have a question that actually someone sent me that's watching the meeting. And the question is, what's the difference between battery and fighting?
Well, battery technically is when the other individual didn't respond back. So you would walk up to me and punch me in the face because you don't like the way I look. So then you're in middle school or elementary school, you're not probably going to get arrested for that. Maybe in high school you get arrested for that's considered battery. But mutual combatants is a fight. You and I have a conflict going between each other, and it doesn't matter who first, we start fighting. So, and sometimes there's battery with injuries. There are different codes in the student code of conduct that warrants that.
Also, battery is tossing water in somebody's face too.
Well,
I'm just saying that because I've learned that the hard way at a little incident I had, but I didn't know it.
Yeah. You spit on someone that's battery as well. All right, thank you.
Okay. Do we have anything else on that? Okay. Go on down. Next consent items are still your people.
Ms. Bivens will be providing our financial report.
Good evening, Madam. Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith, colleagues and community. This evening, I will be providing some financial updates. Okay, the first item is the general fund budget comparison as of July 31st of 2024. This is the first month of our new fiscal year. As you can see, we have budgeted $675,207,128. This is the wrong slide. Okay. Our expenditure shows $707,468,341. We do have a balanced budget with the fund balance is a source of other revenue. So our revenues do equal our expenditures. However, the fund balance, use of fund balance is not shown on here. Year-to-date collections, we collected $10,127,573, with the majority of that being our QBE state revenue, some local revenue, and some federal revenue that we've received. We have not received any local taxes yet. As you know, we don't start collecting property taxes until around October and November. The bills will go out in September. Some people start paying in October, even though they're not due until November. So we'll start seeing some revenue there. On the expenditure side, we spent $14,671,875 for the first month of the fiscal year. So that's 2.1% of our total expenditure budget. I'll be happy to entertain any questions on that report. Next one.
You pay attention,
Okay, got it. We're good.
Thank you. Do we need some more batteries in here? There it goes. All right, so next we have the SPOS revenue collection for the month of July. We collected, well, we received, because we're 1 month in arrears, so whenever we report it, it's for the prior month that we received it. So in July, we received $5,671,000. That's a little more compared to last year when we received $5,457,280 at the same time. So this shows the 3 months I did not do that. Okay. This shows a 3-month history for year to year. So any questions on SPOS revenue?
We're good.
Okay, next we have the purchasing reports. And get over here. So according to the board policy, the purchase of any non-consumable item with a value of $100,000 or more, or a purchase of a group of non-consumable items from a single vendor on individual or sequential purchase orders with a total of $100,000 or more shall be approved by the Board of Education. We're also required to report, provide a report of all purchases greater than $10,000, which were approved during the prior month and not previously approved by the board. So we have report A, which is consumable purchases made with a value of $10,000 or more.
Miss Ramona,
Yes.
you're vibrating. I don't know if it's them or you or.
Right. It just sounds like, the Charlie Brown, like,
I could hear
can
you too.
you,
I'm not sure why. Is this doing it now?
I don't know if you need to move
Do we
it
need another
a little
microphone?
bit away or what, I'm not sure.
Can you hear me here better? You want me to use my outside voice? Okay. So we have report A, which is consumable purchases made with a value of $10,000 or more. Report B are non-consumable purchases made with a value of $10,000 or more, but not less than 100,000. I'm sorry, but less than 100,000. And report C is non-consumable items with a value of $100,000 or more that require board approval as detailed in the executive summary that was presented or provided to you. We also have a supplemental report for an item that we received this morning, and it is for the, it's with Vets Serving America to provide unarmed security guard services for additional coverage of properties within Clayton County School System at an estimated cost of $756,661.50 for 30 guards for 153 days, and this will be provided at the elementary school levels.
That was elementary school security.
Yes, ma'am, unarmed
Okay.
security, yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Any questions on any of the purchasing items?
No questions.
Okay, next we're gonna have a presentation on the corrective action plan that the board has to approve for our FY 2022 audit. As you know, because we have repeat findings, the district is on the high-risk status again. So when we're there, the board has to receive training, the superintendent has to receive training, and then we have to prepare this corrective action plan. The board received their training this year via email from the Department of Audits, and the superintendent was advised that because the training that he attended last year and the same these are repeat findings from last year, that he did not have go to the training this year. So I just want to go over the responses that we have to submit to them for the findings on the audit. So the first was 2022-001 is for restatement of equity. And one of the things that they cited was that the interest, there were some adjustments that were not done, that the auditors had to restate the beginning fund balance for some of our funds. And they said internal controls were not sufficient to detect errors in the posting of some various transactions. Can we go back to one? Okay, there we go. So these current staff is currently reviewing all the posting activities each month to ensure that all the transactions are being captured each month in the financial system, to ensure that all of the account balances are properly stated and that the account balances roll properly each month. So that's the response to that finding. The next one is reconciliation of fund balance and recording of prior year audit entries. And it was the auditors found that when they do adjusted entries, we should be posting those entries to the next year. So some of those had not been done. And so the district, we're working actively to complete the prior year audits because she said that until we get caught up, this will be a recurring finding because we can't get them done until they get them to us and it's like a year later. So in this case,
2 years later. So once we complete the audits in a timely manner, this finding should be rectified. We are making sure that once the fiscal year is closed, staff cannot open the period to adjust the ERP limitations. So this only allows 3 fiscal years to be open at a time. The fund balance issue, of course, will continue until all the audits are complete. And again, as I stated earlier, we're working to get those done. 23 started last month. They have all the working papers that they need. They're actively working on that. And she had told us they would have it done by late September, and I said October just to be safe. Once we get that done, we have to go in and make these entries that had not been made in the past. So we won't have this when we do the 23 audit or the 24 audit. So when we get those done, thinking maybe late fall, November, December-ish, they can start the 2024 audit, and I anticipate that being done by spring. So as we get caught up, these should be going away because since I've been on for the last year, my staff and I have looked at some of the findings that we've been implementing processes and things to eradicate and eliminate some of the things that have happened in the past. Hold on a moment. Let us,
Yes,
ma'am. We have a question. Ms. Cooper.
I didn't know if you were going to let her finish, but
Well, no, I think it's probably best if
yeah.
we just ask questions as she goes, because
That
we
works
don't
for
want
me.
a long presentation and then you forget what it is. So go ahead.
That works for me. Hey, Ms. Bivens,
Good evening.
quick question for you. I know at the you were not here before, but we've been talking about this 2022 audit for the longest. And I know that we're at the end now with the corrective actions and getting all of that set and sent off. Will 2023, I just heard you say that we are on track, but how quickly can we get it done? Quicker than what we are, because now we're getting ready to go into 2025 and we've kind of been so behind on these audits. Is it any way that you can foresee that we could possibly get it done a little bit faster? And will it drag on like 2022 has?
So it
Do you
won't
see
drag on.
any like bottlenecks or anything that's going to prevent you from getting it in?
No, ma'am. So 2022, let me tell you what that drug on because they had committed people to work other school audits because it was so late in the year, in the fall. So that's when they do other school engagements. So they already had been assigned to that, and they didn't have everything they needed to do 2022 audit. That's what drug that went on so long. With 23, it's different. They have everything that they need. I made sure that they had all of that. And the quickest it usually takes about 3 months for them to get it done. So that's why she said September, late September. So I don't see anything or anticipate anything at this point that would cause any bottlenecks like we did for the 2022 audit because everything has been provided and submitted. I want to follow up on Ms. Cooper's question though. Who is the auditor that's handling this? Malden and Jenkins. Okay, but let me just ask Ms. Cooper's opinion now. Don't you remember we switched?
We did.
And did you think that was better because Maudlin is who got us behind in the first place?
Right. So she is correct. So we requested or suggested rather that another auditor was looked into to begin the process of that 2022, and we thought that we had hired them on, but now we're back to the individuals that we were working with before on the 2022 audit. So we did switch. So you switched in 2021 to a firm out of Florida that came in and did 2021. It took them quite a while to get that one done, and then Martin and Jenkins, I engaged with them when I came back. The reason what happened before is Martin and Jenkins was doing the audit. They were ready to do the audit, but they couldn't get all the information that they needed. I'm not sure what the board was told at that time, that Martin Jenkins wouldn't do the audit. That's not true. They were ready and prepared to do the audit, but they couldn't do the audit if they didn't have all the information that they requested to do the audit. That's why I reiterated what I stated earlier is that we provided all the working papers that's required to do the audit, bank statements, listing of checks that were put out, any accounts payable, reconciling the accruals, which you'll see that in here are some of the things that we got a finding on, the salary accruals. Some of that stuff wasn't done where they could do it. The accounts weren't reconciled, so they can't do anything if the bank accounts hadn't been reconciled. So that was why they couldn't do the audit. It wasn't that they didn't want to do it. They couldn't do it because they didn't have what they needed to do the audit.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
Yes, ma'am.
disagree
Okay.
because at the time the problem was they were the only one that was doing everybody's audits. And when we moved to the other company, it was corrected quicker, and then we switched back. But I'm not involved with day-to-day operations, so I'll move on to Miss Bowles.
My question, I'm equally bothered by the audit findings and the delay with how long it's taking us to address them. My question, Ms. Bivens, is in the timeline you outlined, we'll be caught up in the spring. And when I think of spring, I think of budget season. And I'm curious about what addressing these audit findings, what impact that'll have on a budget cycle that we know already needs to be longer.
So the audit, the budget, we have a budget side in the department and a finance side in the department that's handle the audit piece of it. So it should not have any impact on what we're doing on the budget side as we started getting into that budget cycle. Because that work has already been started for 23. Of course, they already had that done. Staff is already gathering the bank statements, all of the other items that they have requested for 23. I've already had them start and putting those items in the folder. So once they finish 23, that information will already be ready and they don't have to wait for it like they've had to wait for it in the past.
And so I'm hearing there's basically different teams for each of these roles.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Miss Baker.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be honest without trying to be too ugly. If you look at these dates, this was prior to Ms. Bivens and her current team, every single one of them. So please keep that in mind. These people are trying to clean up someone else's mess.
Okay, so the next one was 2022-003 reconciliation of cash. And again, this one goes back to some issues that bank statements weren't reconciled properly. So currently, all cash accounts are reconciled on a monthly basis. Any discrepancies are being investigated and immediately addressed by staff. They reconcile in pool cash, so we have what we call pool cash, where we pay everything out of one account. And we have to reconcile it back and set up some accounts of receivables and payables in what they call interfund payables and receivables. So we have to make sure those are cleared out and cleaned up at the end of each fiscal year and each month as well. And then staff is one of the other findings that we had that was, it was new, but it was still considered part of reconciliation of cash, is school accounts did not have, bank accounts were not being reconciled to the general ledger. And actually, we don't even have a general ledger for that. So staff, one of the things that I've tasked staff with is to develop a process to make sure that the school accounts are being reconciled at each school every month, so we don't have this issue moving forward. Any questions on this one? Here we go. Thank you. So this one is around another repeat of revenue recognition. So general accepted accounting principles require that revenues be recognized in the accounting period in which they become both measurable and available to the finance expenditures that we have in that current period. So some audit adjustments had to be made to correctly report revenue related to balance sheet accounts at the end of the year. So again, business staff services is monitoring active accounts receivables each month during our month-end closeout and reconciliation process. And that's included in a checklist that I had staff create last year for when they're doing the month-end closeout to make sure that these things are being done instead of just trying to rely on memory. I want you to check it off on the sheet and show me that it's been done. So that's one of the things that we have in place to make sure these transactions are being reported in the correct period. Any questions on this one? Okay, next slide, please. Audit finding number 5 is recording of accrued salaries and benefits payable. I kind of spoke to that earlier. And this is where our 10 and 11-month employees, where we pay them, we spread their salary out over 12 months, even though they only work 10 or 11 months. So when we pay them in July and August, we have to accrue their salaries back to the prior fiscal year because that's when the expenditure actually occurred, because that's when they work and that's when they earn the money. So we're using the system now to generate accrued payroll at the end of the year. This was done manually previously, so if some things may have been left out, but the way that the system works now, each month when we pay, it automatically sets aside that part of the that we're going to pay in the future, even though they earned it now. So they generate that at the end of the year in July to accrue it back to June for the July 15th payroll. Any questions on that one? Okay, the next one is accounts payable. And this one, we had to make some audit adjustments because to properly state accounts payable, to make sure the expenditures are recorded in the correct fiscal year. Similar to the salaries, when we receive goods and services in June, before June 30th, we have to expend them to that fiscal year. Now, we may not pay for it because when we receive it, because we have to wait until we get the invoice. So if we pay an invoice in July for items that we received in June or maybe May, we have to do a accounts payable accrual. So that's what occurred with this one. And we have established processes and procedures. We did this last year to ensure that staff has been educated on accounts payable processing, when to accrue something back in July and August as we're getting these bills to review them in detail to make sure that it was not for a prior period and that they don't need to code it back to that instead of putting it in this fiscal year. We also have a new accounts payable manager who has experience in doing this and is working with the team to make sure this is being done as well. Any questions on this one? Number 7 is depreciation expense for capital assets. So on this one, depreciation expense was not recorded for the performing arts fund, and we had to make an adjustment of about $146,000 to properly record depreciation expense. And again, the check sheet that I have, that is on there to make sure that the staff is doing these depreciation expenditure adjustments at the end of each fiscal year, and that's recorded. And the system also has a fixed assets module that we are utilizing that wasn't being utilized before. Any questions on number 7? Okay, number 8 is our interfund balances, and this is to make sure that property interfund activities are properly recorded and reconciled between funds. They were not. Many of the audit adjustments that were made during what we talked about reconciliation of cash involved the pool cash that we spoke to earlier. They're now being reviewed as part of that monthly end process, and it's on the check sheet. And they're looking at all the due tos and due from accounts to ensure that those interfund balances are reconciled across the funds. So if the general fund says it's due $100 from special revenue fund, then we should have a due from set up over in general fund. There should be a due to in that same amount over in that special revenue fund. So they should always equal. So that should eliminate to make any adjustments during the audit process. Any question on number 8? And then the last one is support documentation for adjusting journal entries.
Just one moment.
Sorry.
Ms. Cooper has a question.
Bivens, I thought that was the last one, but I guess go ahead and I will ask the question.
Okay. The last one is supporting documentation for adjusting journal entries. And of the 25 journal entries that were selected for testing, 8 of them were not adequately supported by invoices or other documentation. And we are making sure that we use TCM, Encounter Content Manager, to upload all backup documents, and staff is required to do that. And as a backup, if their TCM is down, I'm required them to also just keep a paper copy of it just in case. And that is all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bivens, for that. Just a quick question. other than the system, because I know some of them were due to us going to a new system that will correct itself. But the other findings are corrective actions. Have we put in place any new procedures so this won't happen again, or any QC checks or any of the above?
What the first we have put in some procedures, which I spoke to. I'm asking to see if I can. How about I don't want to put this on my lips.
I, I'm sorry, that mic, we can't hear a thing.
If I put it down, I still can't hear me.
Maybe try
You
put,
can hear me?
maybe,
You can hear me? Hear me?
yeah.
Okay. We have put in some procedures, as I stated, throughout the presentation, with the accounts payable checklist, making sure that, doing certain things that need to be done at the end of the month, doing bank reconciliations. I look at those. Mr. Harrington looks at those, to make sure that all those are being done with our staff. We have staff on board. Last year, we have a treasurer. We did not have a treasurer in place before, so that person is responsible for making sure all of all of our cash is. I say mine because I'm responsible for it. All of our cash is right. That they're reconciling the bank statements and everything on the monthly basis now, which was not being done before. I think you said something about Q. What was the last thing you said? Something about a code, some type of code. I thought you said something about a QC code.
No, no, no.
Okay. Okay. So those are some of the things that we've done to make sure we have some checks and balances in place to make sure these things are done. Mr. Harrington works with the staff daily. We have weekly meetings. You meet with them weekly, right? He meets with them weekly to make sure we have everything where it should be. We're actually the management team. We meet once a week. We have a staff meeting every other week. So we're putting some things in place to kind of keep our thumbs on top of people, to make sure we get things where it needs to get us out of the situation. Yes.
So what we also put in place is each month we have a soft close on the 15th each month. So that way, nothing is going past the 15th from the prior month. That was something that we didn't have in place. We put that in place. I also have a weekly meeting with staff on Fridays to talk about issues and things that are going on. And so that meeting gives us an opportunity for everyone in the group to know what's happening and what's going on so we can fix things right away. Um, we went through procurement and we cleaned up all of the old POs that were out. We had old POs that were going back a couple of years. We went in and closed all of those. And so we're to 2023 now. We have a few open, and I'm looking to close those. Also, we're running a PO report each month, and anything that's 3 months out, we will start communicating with you. And if it goes 4 and you don't communicate with us, we're gonna close that. So we have things in place that we're moving and trying to get things done. It's just gonna take us some time.
And I do have one more. I thought it was another one. I was looking at my budget amendment next. I'm like, I had a budget one. So the last one is 10 is adoption of the budget. We had the same finding last year, but it was on different, it was on a different, let's say last year for 2021. But this was the CARES Act fund, and we should be budgeting all funds, regardless whether it's special revenue fund, capital projects funds, all these funds should be included as part of the regular budget process. And we did do that this year. Um, Even if we had to go back to revise them later. And so again, we are currently budgeting all special revenue funds as part of the regular annual budget process. And we present revised special revenue fund budgets or any other fund budgets that need to be done, to the board to adopt as needed to recognize any increases and decreases in revenue. This has not been done. That was one of the questions I asked because I remember my first time here. I remember my CFO then was I had to prepare budget amendments and they came before the board. And we would have budget amendments almost every month. And I asked, why haven't I seen any budget amendments? And I was told that they were just doing it. I said, well, no, we're going to change that. We need to start taking these things to the board for approval because that is our board policy. Any increases to the bottom line, decreases or increases to the bottom line of our total budget should be approved on the board. So, and that's the list.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it on the corrective action plan. I have a budget amendment that I need to. Okay, so we have one budget amendment, and it is for. Hold on. This is for the hygiene grant that we received from the state. And this is to establish the original budget for the hygiene grant. We were awarded $44,846. So this is to pay for hygiene products for the young ladies in middle and high schools. So we did receive the money in July. So we wanted to make sure we were able to put this in the budget so that we can distribute that money to the schools so they can purchase those personal hygiene products for the young ladies in our district. And that's all I have.
Okay, don't we need to vote on the corrective action plan?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Okay, I don't think we have it listed as an agenda item, so let's just go ahead and do that vote now. Do I have a motion to accept the corrective action plan? Ms. Baker?
Yes. Madam Chair, I move that we accept the Clayton County Public School Correction Plan as presented.
All right, thank you. Ms. Cooper?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly second that we accept the corrective action plan as presented. Ms. Bowles, were you going to make a motion or you have a question?
No, ma'am, just the motion.
Okay. Please vote. All right, it is a unanimous vote.
And Madam Chair, there should be a signature sheet.
We
that
have
everyone-
it.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am. We're very efficient.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bivens. Mr. Joseph.
Good evening once again,
Excuse
Madam
me,
Chair.
before she starts, you want to come and get this so we can turn, yes. Thank you.
Good evening once again, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith. You've received the SPLOST construction update for the month of August. There were 6 payments totaling $8.5 million. There were no change orders executed for this period. Additionally, you received the capital purchase report for items for values above $10,000 but less than $100,000. Then lastly, you received the summary for the capital outlay application for fiscal year 2026, as well as the project start date letters. The state of Georgia will provide funding for Clayton County Public Schools for $1.8 million. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Ms. Albritton.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, other members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith, colleagues, and community members. The Personnel Changes Report summarizes all personnel actions for the period of July 12th through August 12th, 2024. Ms. Blackwood, if we can advance one slide. Thank you. One more. The other way, the 4-year vacancy trend. The 4-year teacher vacancy trend. Thank you. I do want to highlight the 4-year vacancy trend data. As of August 12th, there were 160 vacancies. As you may be aware, the district is in the midst of the leveling process, which calls for a review of enrollment data per school location and overlaying that with its teacher allotment. Through this process, we will be able to maximize current teacher staff and positively impact teacher vacancies. We will be excited to share a summary of the entire process once completed. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ms. Baker.
I know we don't have everybody we need, and I understand that, and I love to see the numbers going down, but it made me very happy to go down the list and see new hire, new hire, new hire, new hire, and rehires, and filling up those positions that we had. So thank you to you and your group for all your hard work that you've had to been doing the last month or so.
Are there any other questions? Since we're about to go through the process, and this may be a Dr. Colbert question as well, can you all elaborate on how many students we currently have? And I'll let you answer that question first.
640, I think. 50,640.
All right, where are we, above or below our last year's student population? What did he say?
68 higher.
Okay, that's great. All right, so this is my question again. Last year, I mentioned to you all about some of our schools that uh, were identified by the state as needing some improvement. And I asked you, would you all consider allowing smaller class sizes in those buildings? Now, you all told me that you would, but you didn't, because I found very later on parents were complaining about the fact, especially in fifth grade classrooms, that they had very large numbers of students. And I don't know how the numbers are looking because I know that we still have vacancies. I would hope that maybe you all might consider maintaining some of those, leaving the status quo and lowering the student teacher ratio in some of those classes, especially when you're looking at your third through fifth grade students, so we can do better with our test scores.
Thank you for that question. For our students in grades K through 3, we ran a ratio of 1 to 22, one teacher for 22 students. So that is the class size that we're shooting for our grades K through 3. In grades 4 through 5, we use a 1 to 25 teacher-student ratio.
Okay.
And we have 3 state-identified schools. So we gave those schools additional considerations. After we looked at their enrollment, we looked at their programs and ensured that they had the teachers to be able to meet their particular identified need.
Okay. All right, that's a good thing. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Albright.
I don't see any. All right, I'm going down to the board matters, which policy series G. I've reached out to some of you all today, and I would like to know if you all have a problem with this. I would like for us to roll the policy series G over and let us vote on it, let it go further into September. I'm sorry, our next board meeting, would be the September work session. And there are several reasons why. I sent you all an email today. So that we don't have this, I've been quite concerned about our vacancy rate every year. And I think that there are some things that we really need to focus in on in our HR department. There are several policies in particular, GBC, GBKC, GBM, GBMR1. I particularly would like for us to work on our transfer policy because I think that we've been having some practices that do not align with our policies. We've had some situations I think we need to relook at our transfer time. We have a designated transfer time, but even when I looked at one of the policies, I believe it's maybe GBM, where you state that if new job, you have a definite time for transfer, then you state that if a new job comes up, you will allow the people that applied during that time to be able to transfer for the new jobs, not considering people who may have not turned in a paper at that time to transfer. I don't think we should be in a situation when we have a lot of vacancies to tell people you can't transfer to a particular school. And you, in some instances last year, we had principals that were willing to take employees, but we were denying transfers because they weren't a part of the transfer process. And those people were told that they had to resign and reapply for a job. That doesn't make any sense to me because that's just additional work for the HR department when the person is already working for us. Why would we do that? So I'm just wanting to find out if do we have a, is it all right for us to roll over? Because I actually need to form a committee, a HR committee, headed by Dr. Haney. And I would actually like to just roll them over and we get together. I'll find out if there are some other people to see if we can't have a better plan for transfers and some of the other policies that we have in place. And hopefully we won't have this situation in the future. Ms. Bose, you had your light on.
Yeah, I was seeking clarification on if this was a discussion for the G policies or if you were asking us if we wanted to push back the discussion on G policies.
Well, if if you want to discuss them, fine. I'm just trying to see if we could not, we're supposed to vote on them tonight, and I'm trying to keep us from voting tonight.
Yes, I think that is totally fine. I was just wondering if it was that and discussion or just tabling it and moving on
No,
to
you
the
can,
next
no, we
one.
can still have a discussion. I just wanted, that was just the other question that I put on the table.
Okay, thank you.
I said Dr. Haney. Ms. Baker,
Madam Chair, do you need a motion to go ahead and move that to the next meeting?
a motion for what?
Do you need a motion to go ahead and move that to the next meeting?
I don't think so.
Do we need a motion?
We're just not voting on them. We have it now for a vote tonight. We're going to make them a part of the next agenda. We're not voting.
If there is no objection, you can push it to next month. If there is an
Right,
objection,
that's why I asked if there's any objection.
Yeah.
Okay. The policy M series, do we want to vote on those tonight or roll them over as well? Okay, so if there are no objections, we'll roll those over as well. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the naming of Jonesboro High School courtroom. We had this discussion, and I think Mr. Straker and I forgot to bring it back to the as an agenda item. As a matter of fact, I actually didn't know all this time I've been having breakfast with his mom, and we just happened to, I went to Chick-fil-A the other day and she asked me about it. So Ms. Baker, do you want to make a motion?
I ask that we formally make a motion to name the courtroom at Jonesboro High School after our student and officer Henry Laxon.
Yeah, right. All right, Ms. Baker has moved that we name the courtroom after Henry Laxon. And do I have a second? Mr. Straker?
I second the
All right,
motion.
it's been moved and properly second that we name the courtroom at Jonesboro High School after Henry Laxon. Please vote. All right, and the vote is 8 in favor. It's a unanimous vote. Now, before we leave, I need to go back. We need to go back and vote on all of the consent agenda items. Because we won't have a meeting next week. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the financial report, the SPOS revenue report, the purchasing report, the budget amendment, the SPOS construction report, capital purchasing report, fiscal year 26 capital outlay project, and personnel changes report. I'm not sure which light I saw first. I believe it was Miss Cooper.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as stated.
All right, and I think Miss Bowles.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Please vote. All right, and the vote is 8 in favor, unanimous. Mr. Straker, I want you to check behind me.
Madam Chair, I don't see
Covered
that you've missed
everything?
anything.
All right, I believe we've covered everything. We are in adjournment. Thank you all so much.